I've been making videos for myself and for athletes, for rappers and for brands for the last 7 years. I've tested different lenses, some costing thousands and some are relatively cheap, but I found most creators only need this one lens to cover 90% of their uses. And in this video, I'm going to help you figure out why you need just one lens to create some amazing content with your full frame camera. A lot of people, especially beginners, think you need a plethora of lenses to capture all types of shots, medium, wide, and even close-up shots. But that is far from the truth. You only need one zoom lens for your full frame camera. The zoom lens is a lens with a variable focal length, allowing you to zoom in and out without changing your position or having to get any closer. So what we're talking about is the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 Di3 VXD G2. So as a full frame lens, I mainly use it on my Sony FX3 and my A7 IV, and honestly it works perfectly on those lenses, right? The focal range of 28-75, that range covers an enormous amount of ground in practice because it's just about wide enough for our environmental shots, but we'll touch on that a bit later. It's also great for my talking head footage, and 75 feels great enough where it compresses the background to give that cinematic feeling. And this goes all the way down to f.2 and it is consistent. So whether you're on 75, 28, 35, 2.8 aperture, which is super consistency, and that helps a lot when you're shooting content. So when you have changing light conditions, knowing you can always get down to 2.8 aperture honestly is a massive deal and does help a lot when you're creating. The price for a brand new version is under £700, and I'll come back to the second hand options later because that's where the real value actually comes from. So what do I use this camera for? And the honest answer is pretty much everything. But before I get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button because the algorithm says I have to remind you. So make sure you subscribe and click that bell notification as well to keep updated with any more content. So this lens covers a wide variety of all my shoots, whether it's my own stuff or even stuff for other people. My YouTube channel, most of my talking head videos, my B-roll shots, my vlogs, anything you can think about, it's more than likely I used this exact lens to shoot it. It's sharp, the bokeh is nice at f2.8, creates that cinematic aesthetic that we all love and we're all trying to achieve. So it looks really, really good on a budget lens. And Sony cameras are already known for having great autofocus, but a great lens plays a part in just how well that autofocus is going to work, and this doesn't let you down. The 20 to 7.8 range means I can go wider for more of an environmental feel, or tighten up to draw more attention to what I'm saying or what I'm doing or the subject matter. It gives options within a single shot without touching anything. When I say without touching anything, I mean I don't have to physically change the lens, and that is such a pain having to change lenses from one lens to another. If I want to go from my 50 to a 35, when I'm packing for a trip, whether that's a work trip or holiday or going somewhere to shoot content, I'm not bringing a bag full of lenses. I only need to take this one lens. And I imagine that's the same thing for you. When you're traveling, you want to be as minimal and as comfortable as possible. You don't want to be lugging around a bunch of lenses. You want one lens that can handle whatever the day throws at you. And this is the only lens I use to capture my entire New York trip. And I did not want the hassle of changing lenses and carrying things I did not use. So it made my life a lot easier when I'm packing. So relatively compared to other zoom lenses, this lens is actually light, coming in at 540 grams. So when you put it in your bag or even put it on something like a gimbal, the weight doesn't go up drastically. However, it does have a big form factor, and we'll dive in a bit more detail in that later. I've shot some client work on this, some commercial stuff, some brand stuff, my own content, other people's content, so much stuff, even some lifestyle content, even some weddings. And I found that it's versatile enough to move with the shoot as it evolves and as it's happening. So I don't have to swap lenses. And that's a massive luxury because swapping lenses can actually make you miss a moment, especially at something like a wedding, right? And when it comes to photography, this lens honestly doesn't miss. And people might assume because it's a little bit cheaper, it might not be as good, but generally it's been great. Some of the photos and pictures I've captured with this lens are honestly immaculate. You're probably thinking, wait, this lens is great, but why would I not just buy a G Master? These are the best Sony cameras, all creators have them, and why should I not follow suit? I bet you're thinking that, right? Everyone always speaks about the G Masters like they are the best lenses. Let me not lie, they probably are. But before you go and buy one, hear me out. I've used the G Master versions on the exact same focal range. I think the equivalent is the 25 to the 70. Very, very similar lens. And let me be completely honest. Yes, it is a better lens. I'm not going to sit here and tell you otherwise. The autofocus is faster, it's more reliable in difficult situations, it has slightly better sharpness, particularly in the corners when the lens is completely wide open. But here is the question, and I want you to sit with this. Does that difference actually show up in your content in a way that matters?
The G Master costs over £1,000 more.
That's not a small gap. And when I look at the footage shot on the Tamron versus footage shot on the G Masters in real world content, the people watching your videos on YouTube, on Instagram, on their phones, they are not analyzing your corner sharpness. They're not evaluating your color fringing. They are watching your story. They are listening to your audio. They are deciding whether you're worth their time based on your content, not based on the lens you're shooting with. In my last video, I talked about something I called gear confidence. The idea that you should buy the gear that you actually need for where you are right now. Not always chase the most expensive option or what feels like the best piece of gear to buy. Because the G Master versus the Tamron is a perfect example of that. Because that thousands of pounds plus that sits between these two lenses, think about what you could do with that gap. That extra thousands of pounds, you can buy a good light, you can buy a B camera, you can buy an extra lens, you can buy better audio, better lighting, cameras, a whole list of accessories. All for things that will make a genuine visual difference to your content. The lens upgrade from the Tamron to the G Master almost certainly won't, not at that level most creators are working at. So don't take this as me telling you the G Master isn't worth it. For a full commercial photographer, or if you're trying to make a lot of money out of this, who needs the absolute best for every single condition, it absolutely is probably the lens you should buy. But if you're a creator building a channel or personal brand, just like I am, then I promise you, all you need is a Tamron, and you can spend the rest of the money getting some amazing accessories that are really going to push your content even further. Let me be honest, I've been shooting with this lens for long enough to know where it does fall short. And the most obvious one is the 28mm is not wide enough for everything. That's me being honest. If you need to capture a large interior space, a big group shot, a landscape, or you want to do a talking head and capture the whole entire environment like I am here, you want something a little bit wider. So I've been in those situations where I've needed to step back further, or photo or video doesn't look how I wanted to, or in other situations I've had to swap the lens to the one I'm using now, which is my 16-35 G Master. And that's why I have that lens to fill in the gaps. But the size and the weight, it's not a compact lens, so it's well built, it feels solid in your hand. But if you're trying to shoot in a low profile way, or you're going on a long travel day, every single gram counts, and it can make your setup a little bit heavier, and you definitely feel like you're carrying a big camera lens, and people may notice it and people might be a bit uncomfortable. Third, and I'll be honest, this is a bit of a minor one for how most people actually shoot, but the autofocus, while it is very capable, it is not that G Master level like I mentioned earlier. So for the overall majority of creators are doing, talking heads, running guns, events and travel, I promise you it will be more than adequate and good enough. But if you're shooting sports, fast moving, unpredictable subjects, or anything where you need absolute fastness and really, really reliable tracking, you may find that the G Master autofocus is the one that might justify that extra cost because it generally is a little bit better. Not to say the Tamron's autofocus is bad. You might notice another theme popping up here. The Tamron covers about 90% of use cases, and it's only in specific scenarios where the limitations actually arise. The final question you're probably asking, is it worth buying? Yes, without any hesitation. And this video is not sponsored, by the way. Brand new, you're paying under £700 for a constant f2.8 full frame zoom lens that covers one of the most useful focal ranges you can have. So if you're building out a kit and you're being thoughtful about your budget, you're very conscious about how much you're spending, and I think you really should be, especially in this economy, then secondhand should be your default because there's no specific reason not to, because you can usually see them for good quality. This lens has never ever let me down. So this is one lens to cover most things. If you did find this video useful, drop a like. It really does help more people find these videos, and it helps me know what kind of content is worth making for you guys. If you want more honest takes on gear, workflows, and workflows, I keep getting my words messed up, man. It's a long day, it's a Friday. But anyway, this has been a great video to make, and honestly, I cannot recommend this lens enough. If you made it this far in the video, as always, thank you very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.